I'm not gonna lie, some of these things are a little bit on the ridiculous side, and I'm going to try to not be like a Debbie Downer, but I also want to tell you my honest opinion. Hey howdy, hey Disney Cruisers! My name's Ashley. I'm in love with Disney cruising. One of these days you will be too if you are not already. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today we are going to talk about the survey that was sent out to people who were on an upcoming cruise for Disney Cruise Line. In the survey, it gave a lot of information about what Disney is thinking about doing once they start sailing again. There are obvious COVID precautions that you see everywhere that were on the survey, such as social distancing, maybe protective gear, limited capacity, frequent cleaning, all the stuff you normally see like at parks or at Publix or wherever. But I want to get down to some of the specifics, and I will let you know if I think it's worth it, and then I want to hear from you, and I want to know, do you think it's still worth it to sail? The first thing that Disney Cruise Line hinted at was reserving spots for big events on the ship. This includes movies, the nighttime shows, and I don't really know what else it means. Maybe the adult section at night or trivia. I don't really know what they're considering big events. Maybe if it's a holiday cruise, then, like when they light the tree or when you go trick-or-treating. So I don't really know all that's involved, but I will say this isn't a horrible idea. I've always said in the theater that there's not really an awful seat to sit in. Most people try to get there early so they can get the seat that they want. This would make it to where if you did have a reserved time, then you probably wouldn't have to go early because you don't need to sit there and waste time waiting for the show to start so you get the seat that you want. But I'm assuming they're doing this too so they can spread people out and social distance, which I think might be beneficial if they do one thing, and that is if they bring back the matinees. I don't know if you guys remember a little bit ago or maybe years ago, I don't know, time flies, right? They started having matinees, especially when they introduce new shows because they're so popular. They'll have like a 3 o'clock-ish, 2 o'clock-ish show in the afternoon. I'm hoping that if they really are social distancing and spreading people out in the theater and making you reserve, that then maybe that means they'll bring back the matinee time, which I think would also be great because it'll give you something to do during the day. The reason why I think it might be beneficial to have something to do during the day is because Disney also says that it will limit its events and entertainment. Well, if they're going to cut down on things and not have trivia or not as much bingo or who knows what they're getting rid of, what are you supposed to do? So, I know you could sit in your room, but there has to be other options of things you can do. One of the reasons I like sailing on DCL is because of all their activities that they do. I like that they're wholesome. I like that they're about Disney because I love Disney. Any event that they do, besides that one that I hate, if you don't know what that is, you can check out here. I really don't like doing that activity. They could get rid of that forever for me, but I know other people like it. I like going to trivia. I like going to all the entertainment at night. I like sitting through karaoke or the family games that happen around 7 o'clock in between the dinner and the show. I also want to be able to fit those in my schedule and just kind of go with the flow. And if my kids want to go to the kids club for a little bit, then I can look and say oh, there's trivia. I'm going to go to trivia while they're in the kids club. I like being able to do what I want to do and when I want to do it. And if they either limit the availability of those or they get rid of them altogether, then that's going to make me really sad. I know this sounds so entitled and want whatever, Ashley, you're on a ship. But that's the reason I go. So then it's do I still want to go? Or now what's going to make it different than going on another less expensive cruise line? If they're not going to do Disney trivia on the Disney ship, well, they weren't going to do it on Royal Caribbean either, so I might as well save some money and go over there. Just thinking out loud. The other thing that they mentioned was the fact that they might not have the nursery open. That doesn't affect me anymore, but it could affect you. It could affect your extended family if you're traveling with your grandbabies. I get why it would be closed. It makes sense. It's just going to make it a different experience if you're used to putting your child in the nursery or having, a date night or something like that. Along with the little babies, they have also hinted at changing up the kids club, reducing capacity, reducing the amount of activities and adult interaction, character interaction, and maybe even requiring time slots like reservations to come into the kids club. That's good. My kids love the kids club and I'm glad it would still be open, but I don't really know in advance when my kids want to go to the kids club. Sometimes they get bored of it. Sometimes they'd rather swim. Sometimes they go because we're getting ready in the room and they don't want to sit there and watch us get ready for dinner. So they'll go and then we'll pick them up on the way to dinner from the kids club. And if they don't have that option, then it's kind of taking away a piece of what we really look forward to on the Disney Cruise Line. Something else mentioned was no deck parties. And I know a lot of people probably in their first thought go to, the pirate party or Frozen. But I think, this also includes stuff they do up on deck during the day for the kids, like the Disney Channel takeover thing. When they have the ones for the kids on the maritime sailings, I think it's called Deck the Deck, like deck the halls and deck. It has something with deck. It's something the deck. That one, the Halloween ones. There's lots of different things that happen up on deck throughout the day too, that's not just the pirate party or the Frozen party. And so now that's gone, and it kind of just takes away from the overall atmosphere of what's happening on the ship. Also up on the pool deck, they talked about reserving times to go to the pool deck, reserving times to go into the pool, limiting capacity in the pool, and having virtual queues for the slides. Like, I totally get why this is all a thing. Like, that totally makes sense to me. But once again, like, I don't know when we're going to be up on the pool deck, and we're only allowed to be there for 2 hours. What are we going to do after that time? Normally, that wouldn't be an issue if all the activities were happening on the ship and all the characters, but they're not. That brings me to characters. It said that close personal interaction with the characters would not really be happening. So meet and greets would be a lot different, probably how they're doing in the parks, where you could maybe see them from a distance, or they all just come out together and you are distance from them. But not having the character interaction, not having these activities, and people go to these events and they, oh, Pluto's out at 2:15, I want to go see him, so they stand in line for him. Nobody's there to stand in line. What are all these people who are normally in line going to be doing all day long? And I know it's reduced capacity, so there's not going to be as many people, but still, like, what are we going to do? One issue that came up with food is something that we've probably known from the beginning, that the buffet at Cabanas was going to be not self-serve anymore. They will feed you. They're not going to feed you. They will put food for you on your plate, and that's how you get your food. This is something that I've always had like an issue with, especially with Palo Brunch. I'm gonna make a video about why I have issues with not being able to get my own food on the buffet, and it's not what you think it is. It's not. At the time of recording this, that video is not out yet, but it will be soon. So if it is out, I will post the link up here. If not, then make sure you subscribe so you can get notified when that video does come out. A few things about being at ports. There was mention about you only get off at a port if you have a Disney booked excursion. That means you can't just go walk around. You can't just get off the ship for a little bit if you want to be on land without having to pay to go on an excursion. I do recommend the Disney excursions. I recommend excursions, and then I recommend doing them with Disney. I wouldn't do it any other way. So that part wouldn't be a problem. But for those who didn't want to do that, you'd have to stay on the ship. Another thing that was brought up was later embarkation times. All right, so if you're on a 3-night cruise and you normally can board the ship between like 11 and 1, so then like what's later? Like 3, 6? I feel like you're wasting then that whole first day. Like, I love getting on the ship. I go eat right away and get my bowls of shrimp, and then I go watch a movie. I talk about that in one of my other videos. That's something that I just recently learned to do, and I think it's a great thing to do right after lunch. You can check out this video. It tells you why I think that. I feel like this video, I just reference a lot of my old videos, which just means that Disney is diminishing the things that I obviously really like. But I know why. Like, don't yell at me and say all these nasty things to me. Like, I understand why. I get it. Back to getting on the ship later, you're losing all that time. It's going to make your trip seem much shorter. You're not going to get to do as many things. Not that there's much left to do, I guess. But it would also really keep me from going on a 3-night cruise. Are these requirements something that you think are realistic, things that you can live with, and things that you're still going to do? Are you still going to book a cruise under these conditions? Are you still keeping your cruise now that we have some of these conditions laid out? And this was just a survey. That doesn't mean they're all really happening, but it is what Disney's thinking. I took surveys at Disney Springs and for Disney World over the summer, like starting like when this all happened, like they sent me some things, and almost everything on those surveys actually happened. Disney Cruise Line surveys, before they started talking about stopping at Castaway for 2 days, there was a survey about that saying, would you actually do that? And then guess what? They had double dip cruises. So I think a lot of these things are going to happen. Now, would it be cool to be on a ship with not as many people? Yeah. But when I sail on some sailings, it's not a full ship. So that's not something totally unique. Whereas like when you go now to Disney World in the parks and it's limited capacity, that's kind of unique. Is it worth your money? I don't know. Unless it was drastically reduced in the price, then I would consider it. But this isn't going to last forever. And so I feel like if you could just hold out a little bit longer until everything gets back to normal on the Disney cruise ship, then I think that's your best bet. Like, I mean, I'm talking like it would have to be real cheap for us to go, like maybe $1,000 for my family. But I know like we need to support DCL and we need to support the people who work on the ship. I don't know. It's a toss up. Like, it's still going to be nice and you'll still have a good time. It just, if you've been on cruises before, it's not going to be like your other cruises. And if you haven't been on one before, I don't think it's a great time to have your first experience on DCL. I hope I wasn't too much of a downer. I just found this out, so I am kind of bummed. Toodaloo, cruisers!